In the previous lesson, we introduced the controller as syntax, which gave us clarity over the implied prototypical inheritance that allowed the bookmarks controller to implicitly pull properties and methods from the main controller, even though there was no obvious connection between the two. In this lesson, we are going to introduce an important technique of promoting collections to models so they are available to the rest of the application. In fact, by extracting out the collections into a service, it allows us to leverage those collections in multiple places, as you will see when we start working with categories further along in this series. The first thing we will do is promote the bookmarks collection from the main controller into the bookmarks model. So let's hop into the main controller, and you can see we have this bookmarks collection here. I am just going to cut this out, and let's hop into the bookmarks model, and we are going to define a service, and we'll call this bookmarks model. And we'll just paste this in here. Now let's create a local variable called model, assign it the value of this, and we are no longer attaching this to scope, so we can just delete that. And then what we will do now is we are going to expose the bookmarks collection via a method called getBookmarks. And all this is going to do is just return bookmarks. I'm going to hop into the bookmarks list controller, and the first thing we need to do is to actually inject the bookmarks model, like so. And then we'll just copy that, and then we'll say bookmarks list controller bookmarks equals bookmarks model get bookmarks. And then what we can do is hop into the template, and you can see that we're doing bookmark in bookmarks, but we need to be explicit because we're using the controller as syntax, and we will do bookmarks list controller dot bookmarks. Let's hop in here, refresh the page, and you can see that the bookmarks are still loading, but we're pulling from the bookmarks model. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for categories. So we will hop back into the main controller. We're just going to chop out the categories, and let's go to the categories model, and we will create an actual categories model service. We'll paste this in. Model equals this. We'll go model get categories. Return categories. Just tighten this up real quick. Alright, and so now let's hop into the categories controller. And while we're here, let's go ahead and take care of the controller as syntax. So we'll refactor this as categories list controller, also a list of categories as we no longer need scope, so I'll just paste in the categories model. And then from here, we'll do our categories controller equals this, and categories equals get categories. Let's go ahead and hook this up in the categories template. We'll go here, and it's category in categories list controller dot categories. And since we're here, let's just go ahead and delete this ng click. We no longer need this, so just part of refactoring, cleaning up as we go along. Let's refresh the page, and categories, and bookmarks are now pulling from their respective models, and everything is working. So just for review, we extracted or promoted the bookmarks and categories collections into their respective models and made it available via a property, in this case get bookmarks or get categories, and it returned that. And then in the controllers, then we injected the model and then requested the model to return us the appropriate data structure, which we assigned to a variable, and then bound to that in our template. Stay tuned for the next lesson where I'm going to actually show you how to pull that data structure from a remote file using the HTTP service. See you in just a moment.